Have you ever run into a situation like this? Everything seems fine, and then that flexible plastic water hose quietly gives up. After months, or even years, of bending and doing its job, it starts to crack or leak, letting clean water drip away non-stop. It may look small at first, but over time, that's a surprising amount of clean water wasted for no good reason. And when you think about it, there are still many places facing war or natural disasters where clean water is limited. So if your hose is cracked or punctured, don't worry, I've got 2 simple ways to fix it. To deal with those 2 completely separated hose ends, cut 2 short pieces of plastic tubing and size them so they fit properly. The idea here is to use these pieces as inserts, adding thickness to the ends of the hose. That extra thickness will make the connection stronger and more secure in the next step when we join the hose back together. Next, I'll use plastic adhesive to firmly glue the smaller tube piece into the end of the hose. The goal here is to lock it in place so it doesn't slip further inside when we're working on the connection. In this step, I'll reconnect the 2 ends of the flexible hose using heat. I'll secure a putty knife in a vise, then heat both sides of the blade until it's hot enough. Next, I'll press each hose end onto the front and back of the blade to soften the plastic evenly. Once they reach the right temperature, I'll quickly bring the 2 ends together and press firmly to fuse them into one solid piece. Once it cools down, the 2 hose ends are bonded together quite firmly. But the fused joint can look rough and uneven, not exactly something you'd want to show off. So in this step, we'll use a knife to carefully trim and smooth it out. Just take your time here. Don't cut too deep or you might weaken the joint we just made. To make it even more secure, I'll wrap some tape around the joint for extra reinforcement. Here's another handy tip. Use plastic zip ties to tighten the connection between the faucet and the flexible hose. It helps reduce the chance of leaks right from the start. I've got to say, the first repair method works incredibly well. Honestly, nothing to complain about. There's no leakage at all. Alright, that's probably enough said about this one. Now let's move on to the final hose repair tip. In the first method, we were dealing with a hose that was completely split into two pieces. Now in this second case, let's take a closer look and figure out exactly what's going on with this flexible hose. It looks like the water flow is a bit weak, even though I've already turned the faucet all the way on. That's definitely a bit strange. But wait a second. I think I've found the problem. The real issue is this hose has a small hole in it, and that's exactly what's causing the water flow to become weak. Instead of pushing all the water forward, some of it is leaking out here. If you're facing the same situation, don't worry. Now let's get started and fix it together. For a puncture like this, the fix is quite simple. First, we'll use a marker to circle the damaged area, then cut that section out to create a cleaner opening that's much easier to repair. To seal this hole, we'll patch it using a short piece of flexible plastic hose. To help this plastic hose piece fit tightly over the opening we just cut, I'll use a heat gun around the edge of the hole to soften the material first. Then I'll use a heat gun to warm up the short piece of flexible hose, so it becomes soft and can tightly wrap around the hole. After letting it cool down for a while, the joint has become really solid and tightly bonded. The surface may look slightly uneven at the connection point, but it doesn't affect the overall strength at all. Even when I press or move it gently, everything stays firmly in place with no signs of separation. And to be extra safe, I can't really take any chances here, so I'll go ahead and wrap some tape around it for additional reinforcement. This second method really works very well, and I have to say I'm quite satisfied with the result. After applying it, the water flow returns to normal, and there are no more leaks around the repaired area. It feels solid, stable, and ready for long-term use without any issues. When you combine both methods, you can handle most common hose problems in a simple and practical way, without needing to replace the whole thing. So next time your hose gets damaged, don't rush to throw it away. Sometimes a small repair is enough to bring it back to working condition. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.